Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with this week's episode of the Rogues Alley. This week I'm going to try a archetype that I think it's a lot better with, the Angel of Condemnation out of Hour of Devastation. So we're going to give it a go and see how well this deck runs without it, where we would put the Angel in what slot if it does end up working out. Basically, the Angel of Condemnation is a 4 mana for a 3/3 flying vigilance, and has the ability of 2, a white, and tap to exile another target creature, and then return it to the battlefield under its control at the beginning of next end step. It also has the ability to exert the Angel of Condemnation to exile another target creature until it leaves the battlefield. Where I really like this card is paired with Wasteland Strangler, as this gives 2 outlets, and the exert outlet that guarantees that something sticks underneath the Angel of Condemnation, as well as the thing that doesn't work with Eldrazi Displacer and Wasteland Strangler is the card immediately returns back. So you flicker it, and there is no opportunity for you to split second a Wasteland Strangler into play and get rid of that card. So, I mean, there's no pause at all. Angel of Condemnation does allow a very big pause in the form of the creature's not going to go back until the beginning of next end step. So you can exile a creature and then, like, end of turn or on their end step, and then cast a Wasteland Strangler to exile it forever, giving it back, or actually giving it to their graveyard back from exile. As well as Exert does pair well with the Wasteland Strangler. So I'm going to give it a go. We'll try it again when this card is legal, but I just want to try this as it is and see what improvements we can make in anticipation for this card. So on the mana base, we are running the Eldrazi Displacer. I think that you'd want both, maybe a mix of the two. I'm not quite sure that Eldrazi Displacer would be 100% replaced, because the Eldrazi Displacer does get around some of the sickness, as well as it is less mana. The activation's the exact same, except for the Angel does require tapping. However, so we do need to run a lot of colorless sources. We're going to run Aether Hub as a 3 of, Cascading Cataracts as a 4 of, and 4 Westvale Abbeys. The rest of the mana base is going to be the Concealed Courtyards and Shambling Vents as a playset, and then 3 plains and 2 swamps, putting us at a 24 land count. We are going to take some inspiration from the Oketra's Monument and run like a package of the Aviary Mechanic and Thraben Inspector. What I like about Aviary Mechanic is it can return back Stasis Snares and Castouts, which we're going to run a 2 of each, as well as it can also return back a Wasteland Strangler that's been used and then find another target for it. It's another great target with Eldrazi Displacer. You can flicker it over and over. It's a way you can actually protect your own Eldrazi Displacers, to flicker the Aviary Mechanic and then return back your Displacer. We're also going to run 3 Fairgrounds Warden, which is also extremely good with the mechanic, as after we've utilized the Wasteland Strangler off of Fairgrounds Warden, then we can get back a Fairgrounds Warden and recast it. Also works really well with Eldrazi Displacer. Then we are going to run a kind of a cool tech that a buddy of mine online showed me in his Oketra's Monument list, which is Wall of Resurgence. And Wall of Resurgence pairs insanely well with Cascading Cataracts. That's why we're going to run a 4 of Cascading Cataracts. This basically gives a 3/3 indestructible land. So the indestructible 3/3 land can then be buffed up later on with Wall of Resurgence being flickered or returned. And the Wall of Resurgence is actually surprisingly good as a 0/6. It can block Gideon at that point. And so it blocks basically almost everything. So then we are going to run a lot of kind of 1-ofs in this deck, or 1 or 2-ofs. We have a 1 of Gonti that's just a good little flicker, as you can then use your opponent's cards against them. 2 of Thought-Knot Seers works really well with the amount of colorless sources. Is also a decent little flicker strategy with the Displacer, because you can get a card in exile, and then a lot of times you can flicker it, and then your opponent draws a card, and you still get the best card. We are going to run 2 of Angels of Sanctions, work just like the Fairgrounds Warden, except they can hit any permanent. A 1 of Archangel Avacyn, just to protect against board wipes. And a 1 of Blight Herder. I don't know how well I like this card, but it is the only way that Westvale Abbey really gets online, is with a Blight Herder. And that gives even more value to the Aviary Mechanic to then return the Blight Herder. And then you have 6 Eldrazi Scions. On the other cards that we're going to run 3 of Declarations in Stone. They work very well turn 2 into a Wasteland Strangler. So against Black-Green, for example, you kill the Glint Sleeve Siphoner with the Declaration in Stone, or a Winding Constrictor, and then turn 3 they put out like a Rishkar or a Tireless Tracker. You kill it with the Wasteland Strangler, and really, really solid play. Incredibly powerful at the moment in Standard. So we're also going to run one of Oketra's Monument. It gives us chump blockers. It also is another way to get the Westvale Abbey. Double Aviary Mechanics are really fun with Oketra's Monument, as just for 1 mana you're creating a 1/1 warrior. So it's something that gets you back up that Westvale Abbey, or inevitably can just give you that amount of army to just overwhelm your opponent. We've seen how good this combo is, and anyone that's played against or with Oketra's Monument. And pretty much that's what we have in the main. We are going onto the sideboard. We have Transgress the Minds, just a 2/of. Possibly we could go into higher. It's okay versus, like, I like it a lot versus Mardu vehicles. We're going to run a Thalia's Lancer, because we are going to run the Linvala, Bruna, Gisela combo, and also a Sky Silver and Consul's Flagship. So this helps us versus the late game. So Linvala is really good against Mardu. It's also decent against like zombies, Green Black Energy, but it's also really good against the Teamer Energy or Teamerge, because it's something that doesn't die to Glorybringer, leaves back a 3/3 flying, and gains 5 life. It stabilizes you on that turn you need to be stabilized. We're going to run one of Dispossess. A lot of people question why I always include this. Torrential Gearhulk is the answer. Every now and again you go against a Metalwork Colossus deck or a Aether Reservoir, and they're really good against those. Yeah, you take out, usually against decks that run artifacts, like heavy artifacts, they are the win con. So Dispossess, all the Metalwork Colossuses, all the Reservoirs, all the Torrential Gearhulks, it's tough for them to come back at that point. You could easily go up in count of this card, and I wouldn't blame you or fault you whatsoever. I do have one of Anguish Unmaking the sideboard. This is a card that could go higher on the list because it does have the synergy at the Wasteland Strangler, but I like Cast Out and Stasis Snare a little bit better at the moment. We're going to run 2 of Thought-Knot Seers and 4 Reality Smashers. I think that this is our only way to really combat those combo-based decks or later-based decks. So in all, the deck has a lot of game versus the vast majority of decks, with green-black zombies and Teamer Energy being like the really, really prevalent decks. I am sad that I didn't brew more with Wasteland Strangler. Again, I've talked about this before, that sometimes the later sets that come out overshadow the older sets, and people forget how cool, like the Wasteland Strangler, how good that combination with Declaration in Stone was. And people used it with Silk Wrap back in the day. And it's sad to see some of these really fun cards underutilized from Battle for Zendikar or Shadows of Innistrad block. Just when people have the new Amonkhet and Kaladesh sets are just overshadowing, just because they're fresh. Anyway, we'll get some matchups going. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. Alrighty, so match number 1. I think this is a keepable hand on the play, as we do have a draw on our first turn, and then within a few turns, statistically we should, by the time in 4 draws, be able to hit that land. So I'm going to keep it. We do want a colorless source. We have some action with the Fairgrounds Warden and the Wasteland Strangler combo. So I'm okay with this hand. I mean, possibly we could just flat out lose by missing that land drop in the next few turns. Alright, so he's seen Quagmire, either Black-Green Energy or Black-Green Delirium is the usual suspects. There's a Displacer, so our first draw misses it. We have another draw, and then another. So I guess, yeah, we have 3 draws to hit a land. Attune with Aether. So again, this could either be more of the energy version, or usually this is the more energy. They run the Traverse in the Delirium one, and we missed the land drop again. So now we're kind of in a bad shape here, but again, statistically speaking, we'll hit that land. I think I can just cycle away this Cast Out too, so I'm going to go ahead and cycle just to try another land. We miss it off of the cycle card, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. If we hit a land here, we're in really, really good shape. If not, the Glint Sleeve Siphoner is just going to get out of control, and luckily for us, we did hit the land. So Fairgrounds Wardens comes down, grabs the Glint Sleeve Siphoner, and again, now we are in really, really good shape as we have the Wasteland Strangler follow up. This is a creature-based deck, so we do very well against creature-based decks, as the card advantage is something that, especially this black-green energy, because we can kill most of the early threats, like the Winding Constrictors. And the Verdur's Gearhulks at that point on an empty board just put out an 8/8 that is easy to Stasis Snare or Angel. There's just a lot of things, a lot of card advantage routes we can go. So I really like this matchup. I think it's going to be one of the better matchups because it's not like a Zombies deck or a Monument deck that just spits out the hand. It takes they like to curve. The green energy, black-green energy is all about a good curve, and we disrupt that curve with this deck. So the Wasteland Strangler is going to kill the Glint Sleeve Siphoner unless there's a Blossoming Defense. If there is a Blossoming Defense, then it's still a card for a card, so I'm definitely okay with that. And we have a 3/2 that is able to basically double block on the attack in. So we are in great shape, I would assume. And there is a defense, sure. Again, that gets a card out of the way. So my opponent will be able to draw a card off the Siphoner. This is going to be an all-carded kind of attrition war, but I think I'll win that in the long run, especially get a colorless source for the Thought-Knot Seer to rip out, something like a Verdur's Gearhulk. There's the hub, adds 2 energy, see if the Siphoner is going to come in. It's a Grass of Darkness. Ugh. People play that card now. All right, so now we're kind of in bad shape. As the grass takes care of the Fairgrounds Wardens. We're still missing the land for the Thought-Knot Seer. This is something I think we need to Stasis Snare the Constrictor. And I'll do it right now. Might as well. These Siphoners are going to get out of hand, though. As they're going to continue to draw cards for my opponent. Other than we do have another Wasteland Strangler. Might as well attack in here because there's no point not to. Highly doubt there's a block. So my opponent will go down to a 14 with plenty of cards left in hand. We can use the Wasteland Strangler next turn to get rid of one of the Siphoners or another card that can come out. And it's a Tireless Tracker. I think Tireless Tracker is actually something I'd rather kill than a Constrictor because it's just really good card advantage later on. I mean, these Siphoners are also going to be extremely good card advantage, but Tireless Tracker is definitely more of a threat. So see if there's another Blossoming Defense. There's not, so we can get in here for the damage. One is down to an 11. Wall of Resurgence is actually pretty good next turn. It gives us 2 blockers. And the problem is, though, yeah, it will give us a 3/3. Opponent is down to 9, too, so there's not a... We could actually win. If my opponent gets greedy and swings in, the Wall of Resurgence can actually win here. But, I mean, that's barring that nothing besides the Glint Sleeve Siphoners come out. Is it a Verdur's Gearhulk that's coming down now? Appears to be the case. Walking Ballista for 3. Can you just shoot down a Strangler, huh? Main phase. So we're down to a 10. And again, this is kind of awkward with Shambling Vent now coming down. So I can put the counters on the Vent. I think we'd rather just put the counters on the Swamp. And we'll come in here for 6 damage. Going to be a very close game. Still can't block though. I don't know how my opponent, if my opponent wants to actually pay the life. Yeah, decides not to. Can still get in with the Menace off the Siphoners. Can activate. I have a blocker with the Wall. Does activate it 1 time though, so 6 cards in hand. A Long Tusk Cub. Attune with Aether. Finds another forest. And it might just be tough to close this game out. Nissa. Nissa's going to pump him up. Because they can shoot down the Wasteland Strangler. Attack in, attack in. I don't think a Wasteland Strangler would be the correct play to shoot down. But this game is probably out of our reach now. Those Glintstone Siphoners with the Constrictor, getting those energy and drawing that card was the difference. So having that Blossoming Defense was huge as well. Just goes for a plant, so... Still don't think there's any way I win this, though. Unless there's some way I can block enough. And another Wall of Resurgence will not get the job done because we could attack in for 6 and my opponent can block with all of it. So block, 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 and then I die on the backswing. So I think the best thing we can do is just keep up the Archangel Avacyn and possibly... I still don't think that's feasible, though. So close game though. We did miss a lot of the land drops early. We have a hand. Look at our hand. We couldn't unload our hand, which was the biggest problem. We're dead to a lot of cards like Blossoming Defense. Surprised my opponent is deciding to go this route. Just to spend mana. I guess it's free mana at that point. The force can come in. Oh, they already played a land, so... I mean, probably the correct play would be to activate the Hissing Quagmire and negative Nissa. Decides not to do anything. Okay, that is pretty crazy. Because this could just be game. as we flash in the Archangel Avacyn. Grasp of Darkness, though, easily could be my opponent's hand, though. So that's the most likely route. Again, though, I do really like this matchup. We have so much action for things early. Wow. Wow. I don't know how I managed this one. I think my opponent should have just gone for it. I don't know if I could even could have stopped it. So this particular matchup, we want the Sky Sovereign, Console's flagship. Transgress is kind of iffy. I think Linvala is a good one here. So I am going to bring in the Thalia's Lancers. Not going to bring in the Reality Smashers, nor the Thought-Knot Seers are awkward. I think we go down in the Thought-Knot Seers. Gisela just seems like is going to get killed more often than... but we could put out the combo and eventually just grind out my opponent. And I think that might be the better way to go. Still like the Blight Herder. Archangel Avacyn, in all honesty, is a card. It just won me the game. I understand that. But I think it's quite weak. Same with the Angel of Sanctions. Like, our curve just got a lot higher. So I think both of these need to come out. Because we're going to run like the Fairgrounds Warden as the early removal. Gonti's good in this particular match. So is Cast Out. And they might be bringing in ways to deal with Stasis Snare and Cast Out, but it's still worth it. We still like the deck and stones are great. Inspectors are great. Monument. Just one card we need to cut. I could possibly not even just care about the Lancers, but eventually we could get or even the Blight Herder creates a lot of 1/1s to block though. So I think Thought-Knot Seer just might be the weak link, in all honesty. As with Grasp of Darkness, it just becomes a liability. So, yeah, this is probably the best route to go. So this hand's another awkward hand. As on the play again, though, it's something we have all of the sources we need: a Displacer, a Wasteland Strangler, and a good curve with the Strangler with Declaration and Stone. This is a card that I've been tempted to go up to 4 of, just because of how well it curves. But there's just a lot of matchups where it's a deader card. But even against like the Monument, it can get rid of opposing warrior tokens. Can wipe the board pretty good. Our opponent does mulligan again, so has the Attune. So we need some luck off the top here. I would love to see a land. Inspector's kind of good. Gives us a play for next turn. And the Constrictor, I'm not quite sure we need to take care of. Didn't hit the land again. Yeah, it's probably is one of the better cards, so. We'll deck and stone the Constrictor. Be done with it. Does give our opponent a draw, but if something like a land comes out this turn, we can then Wasteland Strangler. Transgress should probably take care of the Wasteland Strangler. Oh, I have 2 of them. Never mind. It won't. So here, Displacer will probably be the pick, I would assume. Not quite sure that we needed to go the Legend combo. It's so backbreaking, though, if you can assemble the Bruna Gisela combo. But it is a card that is difficult to cast at 7. So Transgress took one of the Wasteland Stranglers, probably the proper play. We did find the other land, so that is good news. And I think we just might run out an Inspector. And we'll crack a clue. No, okay, yeah, this is probably better. And just bring back the Inspector. So that, I just like it for more card draw. We want to hit those lands. Possibly we could have used the Wasteland Strangler later on, but in all honesty, we have the Eldrazi Displacer for that. So the mechanic to throw back anything else is probably pretty subpar. Our opponent seems to be kind of struggling on finding any. So I'm going to crack a clue here. Try to hit those land drops. We do hit the land drop. Go ahead and attack in. with the Mechanic. And then we can also play the Inspector number 2. And now we're in really good shape. Thalia's Lancer can hit. And Gonti's awkward. Gonti hits one of our good pieces. I'll kill Gonti next turn with the Wasteland Strangler. And hopefully we even hit a land drop too, because we can rinse and repeat with the Aviary Mechanic to try to hit back a Thraben Inspector. Well, or we can just crack a clue at that point. So must be some juicy things my opponent is contemplating what to take. Again, Bruna or Gisela would be kind of backbreaking because of that's going to be most likely going to be our win condition for this game. So there's a Stasis Snare. That's going to be fun with the Mechanic. So the best thing to do here is just to Wasteland Strangler, take care of. Tap our lands correctly. And then just attack in for the 3. So we have a lot of action here for what my opponent. You go for a Rishkar. Rishkar is actually quite weak. We can Stasis Snare it. Concealed Courtyard is a great draw here. Do we care about a Rishkar? My opponent does seem a little light. We can go Mechanic, throw back a Strangler, and then crack a Clue, and then next turn Stasis Snare and hopefully have a land. Or I believe it's just we keep the pressure alive. So I'll Stasis Snare. And take a third of my opponent's life total away. And next turn we actually do have the Mechanic plus Stasis Snare, so not a lot my opponent can do with only 4 lands. Maybe they were relying on that other land to try to get out of Verdur's Gearhulk. Again, Verdur's Gearhulk is kind of weak in this matchup versus us because it's just going to a lot of times not have a decent target. So Never Returns just going to kill the Wasteland Strangler before I can get that combo going, which is acceptable. There's a Gisela. I think the proper play is just to run out Gisela here, as my opponent then has to answer it. So I'm going to go ahead and attack in for 3. Or let's spend our mana more correctly. This is just as much of a threat. And go Thalia's Lancer. And go grab. See if they did take the Bruna. Yeah, Bruna was taken. So we'll get this Sky Sovereign. So took my Bruna, huh? That was just mean. So again, I like this combo of the Thalia's Lancers into the Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. I think it's a card that offers a lot of outs against a number of decks. Like the Console Flagship's great versus like the Teamer Energy taking out Rogue Refiners, Virtuosos, and things like that. Even Tireless Trackers blocks the Glory Bringers, and the Glory Bringer a lot of times can't exert to kill the Sovereign. You just then in response you crew it. So. Hey, we're going to have a Sky Sovereign Console Flagship war, huh? And my opponent just loses here, though. because we just activate. And that's 7. So off to a good start on game number 1. We will go on to game number 2. Alrighty, match number 2. This is fairly decent. No black source. Cascading Cataracts is kind of cool though, because eventually you can get the black source. Of course, haven't seen the combo yet with Cascading Cataracts with the 3/3 indestructible land, which does a lot of work. So, got a buddy who is playing this combo in a Monument deck with Odric, and it is just so good. We'll have to showcase that deck. Okay, so let's just start off with the planes. And might cycle the cast out depending on what we're playing against. We'll see. We have a decent curve with the cast out though, so I might just end up keeping it in my hand. The 3 land. I mean, I would like to hit a black source, but we don't need a black source at the moment. Another white source too would be okay. So I think we will cycle it. And that does give us the Wall of Resurgence. So it gives us like a play here. I'm not going to go with the mechanic. And there's a swamp too. So I'm glad that we're getting closer to what we need. So, whoops, should have put out the Cataracts there. That was my bad. As it could have... No, it doesn't matter because it will be tapping. So, Game Trail, Botanical Sanctum. We all know this match. This is going to be energy. The Deep Fiends are going to be a little bit... If it is the Deep Fiend version, that can be kind of tricky for us. And the Glory Bringers are something that does a lot of times get value, kill one of our key cards. But again, we have a lot of ways. I'll definitely sideboard in this matchup to more of the control route, more of the things it deals with the Glory Bringers. So now we have a 3/3 indestructible. Which next turn I most likely will just go the mechanic and return back the wall. We could also go the Displacer because we have a nice little combo with Displacer. It is getting close to the Glorybringer though. I mean, we're getting close to Archangel Avacyn. So here's a perfect example of where this is a great card. It can block Bristling Hydras all day long. So Concealed Courtyard, is that the route to go? And then we can mechanic back the... I think this is better. So instead of going Displacer, we'll Concealed Courtyard, we'll mechanic, send back the wall. And this way we have a blocker for that Bristling Hydra. It's going to be hard for my opponent to attack into. I mean, they can definitely attack into it, but Glorybringer can come down too and kill a mechanic. After that, though, we do have the Archangel Avacyn, which is going to be very strong if my opponent taps out. Harness Lightning is still a really good card against Archangel Avacyn, but on a specific Glorybringer turn, which is looking like Oath of Nissa, finds a Tireless Tracker. Yeah, that's a card I do need to take care of as soon as I can. So here comes the Tireless Tracker. And there's the clue tokens. They begin. Alright, so there's an Eldrazi Displacer. We'll just pass the turn for the Archangel Avacyn. I'm hoping a Glorybringer comes down. That's the best case scenario. Because not only do we get to protect the mechanic, we get everything indestructible. I'm going to cast it regardless. Wait till my opponent's end step if there's no Glorybringer coming down. But we do need to find an answer for the Tireless Tracker. It is a very, very difficult card. Pretty sure there's a harness lining. We still are going to run out the Archangel Avacyn, though. I don't see a way around this. Yeah, it's just going to get harnessed in response, I'm pretty sure. No, okay. We are actually in great shape. Concealed Courtyard can easily just come out. I'm going to go ahead and attack in with the Archangel Avacyn. And yeah, I just can't quite justify putting out. I just think the wall is better than a Displacer. Well, the Glorybringer. No, we need Displacer out. We're starting to have plenty of mana, though, which is the good news. Bad news is, though, we're very vulnerable to Glorybringer here. If I can get one turn without a Glorybringer, then we're in great shape. So just going to crack a clue. Chandra should just kill Avacyn. Okay. I'm definitely all right with this. Well, cut ribbons as well. Hits the... Surprised there was an attack in there. Okay, so that did hurt. We do hit an Angel of Sanctions. That is a difficult... It's another card that just doesn't really... What do I value more? A Tireless Tracker here, which then gets back... Like, both these are quite awkward. Go Wall of Resurgence to pump up more. Displacer, though, then can actually displace a card of my opponent, so... Yeah, this is a very difficult decision. Glorybringer is still something that I need to worry about. I think that Angel of Sanctions is probably slightly better. I hate this play, though. For a Tireless Tracker, in all honesty, I think it's just better getting rid of the Tracker at this point, because we can attack into the Chandra the next turn. In fact, I can attack in with the Cascading right now into Chandra, but it would just force some energy off my opponent, so not sure that's the right line of play. So Chandra's going to add some mana, so assuming a Glorybringer is going to come down here. Yup, indeed it does. And it's going to kill my Angel of Sanctions. And hold up mana. So here's where a board wipe would be pretty good to add to the deck. Double trackers, though, are going to be insanely tough. Another Westvale beam. At this point, the more mana, the merrier. But I still don't have any sort of Wasteland Strangler, nor any way to deal with it. A Declaration of Stone, of course, would be really good with the Tireless Tracker. Just insane amount of card advantage that my opponent has. So, at this point, I think we just do run out of Displacer. And I do think I need to spend my mana. I don't know. This is awkward. We'd have a 6/6 though. That really can't attack in though because it's... Yeah, we can. We can attack in. We do have a blocker with the... So, I mean, this just kills a Servant. I think I can take the damage at the moment. I'd rather get a Servant out of the way. Could be another Glorybringer in hand. I mean, just tons of card draw at this point. Yeah, I think it was a mistake. I had a board wipe in here until the very last minute and then took it out. Had the good old Dust to Dawn, and then this is the perfect matchup for Dust On. It just would wipe the board here. We'd be back into pretty decent shape. It looks like another Glorybringer. Oh, nope, just going to start cracking clues to try to dig for something. They're really efficient. Deck at drawing a ton of cards. So here we'll block the Wall of Resurgence. And we can't get it up over 5. Yes, we can. We can kill a Tireless Tracker here if I blocked. Not sure that's the right route to go. It would end a Tireless Tracker. Yeah, it's just a... really awkward block here. He's going to use the energy to kill off the Wall of Resurgence. So I could kill Chandra here by displacing a... No, yeah, but displacing a Rogue Refiner and whatnot. But yeah, there's no way. There's just too much. The board wipe had to happen. So we'll go on to the next game here. Reality Smashers, I think, are just a mistake. They actually can be quite aggressive versus this deck. I wonder if that's the right route to go, is just to run the Eldrazi's. The Thought-Knot Seer can die to Glorybringer, but can also rip it out. Like, so this is... I honestly don't think that this Wasteland Strangler route is the... I mean, it kills Tireless Trackers, kills Rogue Refiners. Fairgrounds Warden gets rid of them. So possibly this still is the right route. Gontis are quite powerful. Archangel Avacyn, to me, once again, just still feels like a liability. I know if I can flip it, it can wipe the board. Linvala does seem interesting as well. I don't... the Bruna Brisella combo, they can't cast anything 3 or less, so no Tireless Trackers. That could be a good... I think that I do want to go this route. Anguished Unmaking can also deal with the Glorybringers. I'm really thinking that Glorybringers are the way that we're going to get... Transgress, this is the perfect card for Transgress. The whole problem is, like, I want everything in this deck. Maybe not the Wall of Resurgence combo is just kind of weaker in this. It does give a 0/6 to block, but it might not be the correct line of play. Again, I do want the Thought-Knot Seers and the Sky Silver, and like the Rally Smashers, my curve gets so high at that point that we'd have to go down. So, and Reality Smashers can get just sort of chump blocked. Yeah, I think that they're actually not the right route to go. Thought-Knot Seers do seem good though. You just eat out that early card, and then they still can draw out of it. But yeah, maybe that's not even the right route to go with Harness Lightnings and Cuts. They're just too much of a liability. So I will keep in the Transgress, and we can possibly go down a Fairground Warden, as they don't really hit a lot of relevant cards right off the bat. In fact, all of them can probably come out. I'll keep a 1 of in, and we will also cut out probably just an Angel of Sanctions at this point, just to keep the curve a little bit lower. I don't know. This matchup's kind of awkward just with the amount of card draw my opponent can muster. I don't want to play that war, but we could lock him out. So this is going to be our first mulligan, as that one's pretty bad. I think I'll keep it. Has 2 lands. None of the sources we need. Yeah, this is probably... I don't see him going down to 5 is the right route. But maybe the Mechanic was a... No, I still do like the Mechanic as a way to get back a bunch of cards, but now we're in bad shape. So I'd like to play this match more. We'll probably run into it again. This is the most popular deck. It's just got answers to basically any deck. It's the good, like 55%. It's good against everything. There's not really a bad matchup. I would say Monument's probably their worst matchup. They do have answers for it, though. And we find a Cataract, so it's getting us closer to that Sky Sovereign, but it's still, we need a colored source. And here comes the Rogue Refine. Yep, here we go. This is where it gets bad. So even an Aether Hub is fine here. Just going to go the Tyler. Yeah, see how good the Dust to Dawn is versus this deck? It basically wipes everything but the Servants. And that's, I don't see myself coming back from this. So I'm going to scoop it up. See what we would have drawn into. So there's our first loss. And didn't have a source forever. So probably had to go down to 5. This is a 3-color deck, so we're going to have some very awkward draws at times. So I think having those cards in hand are probably the... should have been a mulligan there. Anyway, we're going to the next match. Alrighty, match number 3. This is one of those hands, again, that is quite awkward with the Hub and the Inspector. And honestly, I think it's a keep. This is the problem. The deck might need to go up to 25 lands just because you have to hit lands. And now that I'm actually looking it over, the deck does want, it is very greedy, or mana intensive. Once you get Concealed Displacers out, the more mana, the merrier. So I'm going to keep it, and we'll see if we can draw into a white source. I probably will throw out the Thraben Inspector just because it gives us something to do on turn 2. And our opponent's also going to throw out a Thraben Inspector. There's another land, gets us closer to where we need to be. And we're off to the races. So, again, we can always just crack a clue next turn. If we find that white source, especially a black-white source, we can then get back worst case scenario, we get back a Thraben Inspector with an Aviary Mechanic. All right, so Mardu Vehicles have not seen this match in a long time. This is probably going to be one of the matchups that is harder. The Scrappy Scrounger does give us ammo for our own cause here, though. So, all right, so we will just end up cracking There's no point to crack it right now. Maybe just more information. But this is the problem with colorless decks. Ever since the Caves of Kolos rotated out, the Eldrazi were all awkward just because it was so tough to find enough sources for both colorless sources and colored, especially in a 2-color deck like we are. So again, this might be more often than not, the curve is just gonna be so messed up because of the colorless versus colored. We do have a couple doubles, but not many. That's why I was okay with just a Gonti and an Archangel Avacyn and an Angel being in here. But possibly another white source, white-black source would be ideal. Really? Okay, I guess my opponent just has nothing better to do. But that seems, wants it in the graveyard, I guess, cut ribbons. But that's just, to get it for an extra 3 damage? I don't know. Stasis Snare is not what I wanted to see. And unfortunately, we're going to be in the same predicament as we were the previous game. With a hand. Yeah, this has to go to 25 lands. Absolutely. Mechanics, in all honesty, probably be cut down as well. I think that often they're just not as good as, you know, the monument type shell. All right, so it's basically white sorcerer bust here. It's an Angel of Sanctions, so therefore it is a bust. Just going to scoop it up. We've lost this game. Not going to show any more information. And we do not find our next source. So I have to mulligan these hands unless I have a black and white source in hand, I think, is the right route to go. This is Mardew's kind of awkward because of its curve. I don't know, depending on how they built it, I tend not to care for Thought-Knot Seers. With unlicensed disintegrations and cut ribbons, they tend to be a liability. This is a match I do like Reality Smasher, though. It can smash back into Gideon quite easily. But I don't know if I want to play that game. So I think I'm just going to go back to the Legend. And run this package. Get rid of cards like the Angel of Sanctions, in all honesty, is probably a weaker link because we have to get our curve back down, and the Archangel Avacyn is kind of meh again versus unlicensed disintegrations. So this is probably the most appropriate package. Yeah, going forward though, cut probably 1 or 2 Aviary Mechanics, throw in another land, and possibly just another Declaration in Stone, I would say, for this deck. Unfortunately, we are in a league, though, so we can't make any changes to it. And here we go. We do have sort of an idea. Yeah, this is a very good hand, actually, against what my opponent is doing. To the bottom. Okay. All right, so we'll lead off with the Concealed Courtyard. Look at that. We have fixed our mana. That's the good news about this deck, though, is basically just a Concealed Courtyard and a Aether Hub is pretty much fixing. Westvale Abbey could be cut for another hub, like a 4 of hubs, just for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be worthwhile. Possibly the Eldrazi land that when it comes into play, you add a specific color. But that's very similar to the Aether Hub. I think Aether Hub is a lot more versatile. So Concealed Courtyards as well. And my opponent has the Inspector. And we get the Cast Out, which is exactly what I wanted. So we'll throw out the hub. And nothing's worth decking in stone here, so I could play the Mechanic. I don't think... Well, I could have the Mechanic out. And then it's just a target for the Displacer. And at this point, that's probably the correct play. And man, these double queuing opponents. Something on MTG I wish they would make illegal to do. as double queuing is just so annoying as a streamer or a recorder. I have to wait through. We've played, what, a total of, what, this is turn 6? So I'd love to see just the Scrappy Trounder come out here, because we can deck it. And then attack in for 2. There's a Swamp. And yeah, that's still the proper play. It's kind of awkward to give back the Scrappy Scrounger, but it's a card that late game I don't think poses too much of a problem. Next turn 2, we can just cast out something. I'd like to save cast out for Gideon, but if there is a legitimate threat that comes out, and just the decisions by my opponent sometimes are just very, very awkward with the cut on the Thraben Inspector and the Fatal Push on the Mechanic. But it is what it is. I still don't have like a good... Well, I think that's a good card to cast this turn. My opponent has to deal with it. It'd be nice to have a Fatal Push here to crack a clue. Possibly there's another Fatal Push in hand, though. But cracking a clue and Fatal Pushing the Gisela here would have been a pretty good play. And most likely that is what's going to happen. Yep, okay. So there was double Fatal Pushes. Does take the turn, though, no Gideon. I still feel pretty far ahead. We can still take care of 2 threats that come out. And now we have an Eldrazi Displacer, which we'll throw out. So that will be good later on with the cast out combo. Or I guess the Aviary Mechanic died, so maybe now the Fatal Push is looking really good. Unlicensed Disintegration, sure. So very, very heavy control hand by my opponent. And there's Thraben Inspector number 2. Could get beat down by the Inspectors. Wall of Resurgence is nice. Ends up giving us something to do and stop the beatdown by the Inspectors. We will attack in. Opponent is down to a 15. Really anyone's game here. The card advantage is definitely my opponent's side with the clue tokens. I've actually lost some pretty decent cards. We still have Wasteland Strangler and Cast Out for added control versus any of the more threatening cards. We can just Stonewall with our 0/6 now. A lot of those cards. And Wall of Resurgence can actually take care of Gideon, if Gideon does come down. Avacyn, I guess, would be a very legitimate threat we need to deal with. Walking Ballista on 2 is not one of those threats. Interesting choice, though. So we can block one of them. So I'm wondering if Cast Out is worth it on the Ballista. That just 100% makes it an easy choice. Because we just take care of the Ballista. You end up taking 2 damage, but that's not very relevant. Opponent is down just 1 card in hand as well. The worst part about winning this match, though, or this game, is I have to go to game 3 with my slow opponent. We'll go ahead and attack in with the Cataracts. Getting my opponent down to a 12. And again, I put my opponent slightly in favor here with just the 2 clue tokens and just the extra land. Our cards are very similar. I do have the Wasteland Strangler that can take care of 1 threat and a Cast Out that can take care of another one. And the clues are going to be cracked. Makes 0 sense to me why the Fairgrounds Warden is going to die here at instant speed. I guess just trying to beat down with the Inspectors. So possibly I just need to start keeping that back now. The Mechanic can actually get back the wall, but I'd rather just save it for a... Yeah, I can't attack in with the Cataracts here. We're going to be casting out something that my opponent does next turn. So unfortunately, we could die to Runner on Licensed Disintegration. I always hate these hands where they have double, triple, and Licensed Disintegration. Those are the tough ones with Mardu. Seems like Mardu's pretty easy when an Unlicensed Disintegration is not in hand. So there is Gideon. Speak of the devil. We will take care of Gideon, though. Did get advantage off the Knight ally. However, we still do have advantage off of the Wasteland Strangler, getting rid of Gideon for good. And then we do have more advantage off of the Mechanic getting back a Cast Out. So, I mean, that's the reason why I do like the the Mechanics as a 4 of. And there's the inevitable Bruna. That's going to be good when we can hit the lands. So let's go Wasteland Strangler. Just crack a clue, sure. A Bliss at this point, too, is very threatening. So I do need to close out this game as quickly as possible. So I do think we are just going to Mechanic. Get back a Cast Out. And just pass a turn. So no dead draws here because we do have... So what was that my opponent just played? A Fumigate? Fumigate killing the Wasteland Strangler and the Mechanic. Sure, that's okay. There's another Cataracts. So... Oh, it's so tempting just to cycle this in a turn if we need to. Still can't really attack in because of those Shambling Vents, though. We do have the Bruna and the Gisela lock that can happen. Yeah, I'm not quite sure I need to care about Heart of Quran. This last card, though, is Gideon, though. Then I just have to cross my fingers that we get like a Westvale Abbey off the top. Because that's it. Do I go cast... This is so tricky. I think I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to... I think it's just cycling this. And we would have hit it, but sure, that's... Would have double hit it, so... We'll go the Westvale Abbey. And this is pretty backbreaking. That's why I like running these type of cards, though. You go the long route. A lot of people cite in a lot of removal, and it gets you to the long game. And Bruna is one of the most powerful cards. Now the third Unlicensed Disintegration would be tough. Oh, wow. All right, so no Unlicensed Disintegrations. We do have to worry about a huge Walking Ballista, other than we are gaining life next turn. And there it is. It was close. That was a very, very close game. I wonder if my opponent's going to go crew Heart of Quran and then shoot Heart of Quran down so I can't gain life. And that is a really good swing. We'll throw out the Cataracts here. No point to put out this other Mechanic. We'll wait. My opponent can only pump up Ballista twice. So that could be an option. Next turn is to crew and then shoot it down. Cards like Gideon can still be drawn. Not too sure what that was about. Oh, there's a Fumigate coming out. So my opponent did draw into a Fumigate. Ugh. This does not have Indestructible, and it is one card that they can cast. So we will end up losing a Bruna. And I'm going to make a Westvale Abbey token. Displacer is actually pretty good here, because we can Displacer anything that comes out. Go ahead and get in here for... see, crew. Yeah, this is fine. For 4. And my opponent really needs to find a top deck. And that was not a top deck. So, once again, let's go ahead and attack in with everything, and I believe this is game. So my opponent have to crew right now. And did not crew, so yep. And that is game. All right, so game number 3. I think Transgress actually might be pretty decent, getting rid of like unlicensed disintegrations and whatnot. I'm going to bring it in. Still not sold on Archangel Avacyn, other than I think Archangel Avacyn is actually pretty good in this match. Definitely slowed down the list to bring in cards like Fumigate, which I don't know if that's the right answer. The mechanics are awkward. They get back Stasis Snare and cast outs though. I still do like the Thalia's Lancers eventually. Maybe Blight Herder's just weak here. Yeah, Blight Herder's a card I don't think we need. Same with Deck and Stone. What am I going to be... I mean, it does hit the 3/2s. We didn't see a lot of other things at Declaration in Stone. I'm going to go down to a 1-of for the Transgresses. And I hope that's not the wrong decision. But we have so many ways to deal with creatures. And Sorcery Speed removal, this actually does seem pretty bad. And this is a really slow hand, but a really good hand. We have a nice little 3-4-5 curve. And my opponent is not going to be doing anything on turn 1 with the Spire of Industry. So no Thraben Inspector or Toolcraft Exemplar on turn 1. Aether Hub is fine, puts out probably the Scrappy Scrounger. Yep, we don't have anything way to deal with it at the moment, but We will later down the road. Go ahead and throw out a Plains. See what shenanigans comes out. The Heart. And a Swamp. So we are in great shape now with that, as it's kind of awkward with the ability to crew the Heart. But we are taking care of the Scrap Heap. Oh, the Fatal Push actually does take care of it as well. Okay, no Fatal Push, so unless Disintegration could happen, and then get it back and attack for 4. Yep. So that actually was rough. Again, this matchup, the Marty Vehicles is so... The matchup is night and day without Unlicensed Disintegration in hand. So both these games, all these games, we've ran into quite a few. So here is a very, very awkward play. No, this is fine. We go Cast Out on a Heart of Quran. But I'm not happy with this because we're most likely to take 3 damage. Assuming by playing another Scrap Heap Scrounger or Toolcraft Exemplar. And this is fine. We'll take care of it. This also is... Decided not to run the Heart of Quran out. But my opponent's still going to have to play something this turn. And then nothing. Okay, so this is where we can throw out... Oh, that was an insane draw with Linvala. Because this means that my opponent has to take care of Gisela. Or wait a second. Maybe we do go Sky Sovereign. Here. Just because I'm thinking an Unlicensed Disintegration is the most likely card in hand. So even though we don't have a target for this, I'm just going to throw it out. So there's Gideon. And Gideon will crew the Heart of Quran, swinging for 4. But Linvala is going to negate that and allow me to kill Gideon and the Knight. Puts me back up to 11 as well. I don't get a... So, either he's losing Gideon... Huh. Okay, so... We do want to crew. Lose 5. No, it's still attacking a Gideon, I believe. Oh, then I'd be down to... No, we'd only be down to 12. If I could get down one more... Well, we cast Wasteland Strangler and... So if I attack into him and kill Gideon, that leaves back... 4, 5, 6. Attack him. Because I'm trying to debate, the next turn I go Wasteland Strangler. And no, I can't quite. I can't quite. So I think it's just attacking to Gideon. And kill the knight. So now the Heart of Crown has to crew if he wants to save Gideon. And we'll lose a Heart of Crown. So there would go the artifact to... Okay, yep. So no artifact to produce a specific mana other than there still is a hub. Here he can exile the Sky Sovereign. But that's the cost of both Gideon and Nahiri. So I'm 100% okay with that. So Gideon's just going to attack him for 5. No biggie. And we'll kill Gideon and Nahiri next turn just by activating the Shambling Vent. So I kind of disagree with that attack by my opponent. But who am I? So we'll go 1, 2... Unfortunately, we have to use the black here. And we gain some life here. Go back up to 8, which is very relevant. Kill 2 planeswalkers. Keep them off the land from the Spire of Industry. A Heart of Crown and Nahiri, Gideon, and Licensed Disintegration are all taken care of. We still have a Wasteland Strangler and a Gisela. And Fumigate, it's fine. I think that's kind of a waste just on a Linvala. So this is actually a good card to draw into. Transgress. Because we can get rid of Archangel Avacyn here. Ooh, this is a tough one. Yeah, we'll get rid of Archangel Avacyn. Jeez, my opponent's got a great hand, though. And go Gisela. And my opponent still has the Walking Ballista as well as a Gideon. But Gideon's awkward to throw out here. I think just Walking Ballista is the right play. Yeah, that's absolutely the wrong play. I think Gideon should just Emblem here. Yeah, okay. So at least gets an Emblem out for later on. Mechanic's kind of weird. I think what we're going to do, we need some life back just because of how fast. I mean, there's nothing better to really put out. So this gives us some padding back up to 14. And a Walking Ballista is a 4/4. Okay, go ahead and shoot off. I'm just the sorcery speed use of this is kind of baffling me. So we get to kill it with the Wasteland Strangler, so this is good. And then get back the Mechanic. So Strangler here. My opponent will get a Scrap Heap Scrounger back, but that's not... I don't think that's relevant. Oh, and must have just passed the turn too, so that's good. Like I said, now we'll just go Mechanic and get back a cast out. And there we go. We're in good shape. My opponent sits down to 0 cards in hand with a Scrap Heap Scrounger that can come back. Can't block very well. Absolutely will make this trade. We lose both creatures, but it is worth it at this point. As my opponent has cards like Fumigates that... These are probably a liability there down the road anyway. So, Wall of Resurgence is fun. Yeah, this gives us a Cataracts. And at this point, I think it's just as logical to run my opponent out of time as it is to try to win it other ways. And I do believe I just hold back the cast out because we're still, this is our game to lose, not win. So I'm going to avoid possible ways of losing, and one of them is somehow getting blown out by like an Archangel Avacyn. Keeping up this mana for the cast out, I think, is better. Yeah, there's Scrap Heap. Does give me something to give him back, though. Oh, I guess they'd already had the Archangel Avacyn for the Wasteland Strangler. So there's this Aether Sphere Harvester. That's a perfect card to cast out here. Okay. And Displacer is also really good, but it's unnecessary at the moment. We'll Strangler. Kill off the Scrap Heap. Displacer's fine here too. Could be running into a top deck Fumigate. Other than this, Cascading Cataracts still sticks around. And so does like a Shambling Vent. Inspector gives double duty. Gives the Scrap Heap Scrounger something to... gets the clue and a Scrap Heap Scrounger. Crack it. Jeez. Okay. Well. We're not out of this yet. Got to debate whether to give clues to my opponent or... that's a worthless card. We'll Fairgrounds Warden and Displacer away. So put this on the Inspector. And then Displacer away. 3, 6, 9. We can do 9 damage. So I still think that killing Gideon is the correct play. So we're at the mercy of Fumigate, but now we've taken care of 3 Gideons. 1 Fumigate's already in the bin. And we have a lot of cards that survive. We have two creatures that survive a Fumigate, so my opponent will go up to 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Fumigate would have been actually pretty brutal here, a top deck Fumigate, but it didn't happen. And we pulled this match out. We'll go one more. Alrighty, match number 4. We'll go ahead and keep this hand because it does have both of all three of our colors, quote unquote. We have the a first turn and a second turn play. Cycle this away. We have Blight Herder is kind of awkward. I'm not sure. Well, the Westvale Abbey Blight Herder combo still does seem like a really good combination. Plus the Aviary Mechanic with the ability to throw back Blight Herder. Again, this deck looks a lot better with New Angel coming out. I don't know, maybe it's just too cute, but so far it's had some pretty decent matchup. It needs a board wipe, definitely for the T-Merge matchup in the sideboard. And now we might be seeing what it's like to face off versus Control. This could be a very tough matchup if it is Torrential Gearhulk. But this deck does have ways to get card advantage. Throughout the game. White, blue. So here we'll throw out the plains. And we can crack a clue for later down the road. See if a Censor gets cycled away. There are some blue-white control decks running around. It's Torrential Gearhulk just splashing for white for cast out and fumigate. Those will typically be pretty hard. I don't know. We have Reality Smashers and Thought-Knot Seers, though. Both of those seem really, really powerful. Could be some sort of new perspective combos as well. I think we might just be too slow for that. Reality Smashers from the sideboard was exactly why they were in the sideboard. As a turn 5 card that just swings in 4 or 5 damage, haste that turn. Can be pretty tough for an opponent to deal with. So, speaking of a good card, there is the Thought-Knot Seer. I'll go ahead and attack in again with the Inspector. And this is kind of awkward if I want to go the Mechanic and just throw back the Inspector. Just because, I mean, a Censor is... I'm thinking 100% there's a Censor in hand. So I think that's the better play. Give us another draw. Now, if the Censor wants to be used against an Inspector, then go for it. So it's a Stasis Snare. Okay. Blue-white flash-ish type deck, huh? That card is not something I wanted to draw at the moment. So I think I'll just attack in. And Monument's something I want to stick. So I'm thinking I'm just going to crack the clue. I want to hit a land drop here. And I'm just going to cycle this as well to try to hit a land drop. And we hit it. Awesome. So that ends up being a pretty decent... Yeah, this is just a Torrential Gearhulk deck. So we're pretty slow. And without the Thought-Knot Seers being able to hit, we're in trouble. Now we are hitting our land drops, which is good. So I still think it's just we have to try to make like the Thought-Knot Seers. This little Thraben Inspector's got in there for some work. This is 100% going to be countered. But at least it can't get censored at this point. Too bad this isn't a cast trigger for this particular card. And we knew that was coming, so it happens. I'd like to hit another land next turn because it allows us for both a... Okay, our opponent didn't hit a land, so yeah, that's good. We can just keep firing off these Thought-Knot Seers. And we did hit a land, and that's well, we already did, I guess, have a Westvale Abbey. We'll throw out another one. And it's disallowed. Go ahead and swing in here. And this is going to be one grindy matchup. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull this off. There's another cast out. At this point, cast out's kind of weak. We'll go ahead and attack in again. See if we can get the monument to hit. It does hit, so we do get value now off of the Displacer. Fumigate is he's most likely in my opponent's hand. Just, yep, there's the Glimmer just for more card advantage. We do have a Dispossess in the sideboard and 2 Transgresses. So I'm not... I mean, this match is definitely beatable, especially if we get the jump with the Thought-Knot Seers, the Transgresses. Dispossess, of course, is really powerful against Torrential Gearhulk. At that point, I don't even know if they run an alternate win condition, some of these decks. I mean, they're that greedy. Some run like a Jace or whatnot, but haven't even seen like Dovin or anything like that as an alternate win. So now the Torrential Gearhulk is out, but we can still just attack in with everything. Just a fumigate. Yeah, I assumed a fumigate was going to come down here. This gives us a out to do really nothing, though. At least we're still hitting land drops, which is all right. It's acceptable. At this point, I think just getting out a Wasteland Strangler is fine. Blight Herder is still just very awkward. And cast out is something I actually could use to my advantage. The Cascading Cataracts is going to be quite good against this matchup too if we can get the wall. I'm not sure if we care though, if we want to put it out. It does bunch of Torrential Gearholds though. That's actually, I mean, the Fumigates eventually will wipe it, but I don't know if they can actually deal with... I mean, Stasis Snare, I guess, can deal with the Cascading Cataracts, but I mean, a Cascading Cataracts has 6 counters on it. Might just be too tough for my opponent to handle. It's going to be another very long, grindy matchup, so the time clock is very relevant. That's what I like about MTG. I'm not a fan of control, never have been, just because when you go to like bigger tournaments, you can get statistically eliminated from draws, and at least as the it really feels bad when you're not the control player and you have to get a draw because of someone's playing a deck with 4 win cons in it. But in MTG, it really punishes the slow player. So there's another mechanic. So see if good old Torrential Gearhulk is in. now. And I'm not going to play anything. We can just cast out my monument. Sure. We'll just pass the turn here. We'll create a cleric. These useless declaration and stones. I mean, my opponent does have a limited amount of win cons, so there is the Torrential Gearhulk. We'll grab a Glimmer. We'll eat a Wasteland Strangler. But we'll also get to deck and stone the Torrential Gearhulk. Which does give my opponent a draw, but we have a backup. And no point to mechanic here, so once again we'll just pass it back. So Blight Herder can actually be cast. It's so weird with Fumigates. Alright, so we're going to attack in with both of these again. If it baits out another Torrential Gearhulk, then so be it. We have a pretty good renewable resource with these Westvale Abbeys. And it does not, so now we'll just throw the Thraben Inspector out. Gives us 2 draws off of that. That's fine. In fact, I'm going to crack one of them. And we're actually going to crack the other one as well. Just so we hit land drops, might as well. Yep, perfect. Yep, assumed a Fumigate would come out, which is good for the Blight Herder. Probably will throw the Blight Herder out now. Because we just have to give 2 cards back, and our opponent does have 2 cards. So we get the Eldrazi's. And just pass the turn to our opponent. We have a Stasis Snare that we can give her a Transgress the Mind. The only problem with giving that Transgress the Mind back, we did take care of things that can now be commit memoried. But again, this is a grindy matchup. There's the third Glimmer. This one was hit off the Torrential. And I need to start playing a little bit quicker, as the time clock is pretty even at this point. Guess I should have kept up a Westvale Abbey rather than one of these. There's Fumigate number 3. This is a very, very heavy Fumigate list. Displacer is very awkward. I do believe we throw it out, put out a threat. It most likely will be countered. It is not. Here comes Torrential Gearhulk. Yep. Now this does give my opponent the ability to cast out that and then get another Torrential Gearhulk, another Glimmer of Genius. But 3 Fumigates in the bin. Haven't seen a pull from tomorrow yet either. Is that what's coming out here? A Glyph Keeper. Fair enough. Another Disallow. Another Gearhulk. Ugh. Which will Essence Scatter it. At least it's not a Glimmer. I'm actually going to use a Disallow. So we can just safely put out this other Displacer, as I'm not worried about a Fumigate now. I'm worried about another cast out, which is probably inevitable, but so it does have another win con besides the Glyph Keeper. Gonna try to pull from tomorrow to find a cast out is what I imagine here. No, a Quarantine Field. Yeah, that is brutal. Now I need to find another cast out of my own. But I am taking a significant chunk of damage here. Warden is kind of, yeah, Warden's actually extremely awkward. It does let me survive a turn by getting rid of a Torrential Gearhulk, but it's another Torrential Gearhulk that when this dies, The Turtle Girl can get another activation. Dispossess can be very good in this match. To get rid of these stupid things. And I believe I die no matter what now. No, I can activate a Shambling Vent to block. And then survive. But this is going to be tough. Lots of enchantments. I don't have very good ways to deal with enchantments. It's so weird to run. Like the Angels. And has another Stasis Snare in hand. So tons of Stasis Snares. Now I'm going to try to draw 2 cards to find a Stasis Snare. So basically I can find a cast out for the quarantine field, and that is it. Aether Hub is not going to do it. All right. On to the sideboard. So weird with Reality Smashers as well in this one. Are they quick enough? Like cards around like Stasis Snare get around them. Bruna is amazing. Anguished Unmaking is actually really, really good here. We don't need the Declaration Stones. Same thing with the Sky Silver and Console's Flagship. Linvala is not good. The Gisela is good though. And Thought-Knot Seers are really good. So cards like Thalia's, Lancers, and Dispossess. Reality Smasher, once again, is one of those awkward cards. We don't need the Fairgrounds Wardens. Or, I would say the cast outs, the Wasteland Stranglers. There are so many things that are just... Stasis Snares are awkward too. Mechanics at least can get back Thraben Inspectors. They can get back Thought-Knot Seers. Is that good? I'm not sure. So Reality Smashers do need to come in. And in all honesty, the Sky Silver and Console's Flagship is pretty bad. So is Linvala, but Linvala at least is... I guess cast-outs can just be cycled, so they're better than nothing. Blight Herder is also very awkward. It just doesn't seem to really do much, and the Westvale Abbey strat is so awkward in this. So I think this is the route I'm going to take. Yeah, Reality Smashers actually do seem quite awkward. Maybe I just use the cast out for only quarantine field. All right, let's see if we can get a good hand. Lots of lands, Thraben Inspectors. Okay, that's acceptable. We did want lots of lands. Lead off with the plains. And we have Bruna. Bruna's awesome here. Bruna is just pure value. Got the combo. All right, still hitting those land drops, which is good. Getting in there with our little 1-2. And we have a nice curve with Gisela into Reality Smasher. Opponent did put out, so we don't have to worry about censor. I didn't see a censor the entire last match at all. Yeah, 0 censors. That is very awkward if that's the case. There's a Thalia's Lancer. That is also a very nice curve. We'll go ahead, tack in. Most likely some sort of Essence Scatter will happen. Censor. There's the Censor we haven't seen for a while. Rally Smasher has the highest reward here. I mean, we're already going to have to try to race Fumigates. But Reality Smasher is, yeah, it's the right call. Yeah, the Bruna Gisela combo is a lot weaker too. With having access will the Stasis Snares in response. Quarantine Field can go above the converted mana cost as well as Fumigate. So love to hit like a Dispossess. So Gisela, my opponent opts for a Gisela, but okay, all right. So we are smashing in. Put us down to a 12. Now Gisela can attack in. We'll go for another Reality Smasher next turn. I don't think we go for like Thalia's Lancers. There's the hub, gets us one closer. And allows not for a Censor, that's nice. That lifelink is pretty good. So my opponent correctly did assume that I wasn't going to bring in, or I'm going to take out all my removal. So Wasteland Strangler would have been really good here, but now we have the Torrential Gearhulk. This does allow for a Thought-Knot Seer. Essence Scatter happens. As well as a cast out on the Reality Smasher. So yeah, Gisela is most likely going to win this. Yeah, I guess the bait and switch, the good old U-White bait and switch, it's been around forever. With opponents taking out or some of their control cards and bringing in aggro cards, thinking that you'll do the same. Yeah, we're right in that Torrential Gearhulk range now, which is tough. Okay, well, it hits. But I think my opponent just needs to control the board. I'm 2 turns off of getting, so like a Stasis Snare or anything like that in hand. All right, we're going to avoid the damage this turn. All right, so just going to get rid of my Displacer. This does give me an opening. For Bruna if we hit a land. All right, that'll have to come next turn. Hit the Lancers. and grab... This one's tough. Either Archangel Avacyn or Gonti. Avacyn can block, though, so I think I have to go the Archangel Avacyn. But we're still at the mercy of my opponent just basically saying untap and then hold up Torrential Gearhulk for a disallow. Yeah, possibly should have left in the Deccan Stones. I don't think the Deccan Stones are dead cards. Good news is, though, is we do have Bruna that will get back at Gisela no matter what. So it does give us sort of an answer unless there's a cast out. So if my opponent can really have like a Torrential Gearhulk in hand right now to stop the Bruna, and then deal with the Gisela after that. That's the worst case scenario. So I don't understand that play. It's very awkward. But I'll take it. Guess I just wanted an untapped to protect the Gideon. So I'm dead to a cast out is the problem. Can't be a Stasis Snare, though. Can be a Quarantine Field. And I'm dead to a Fumigate, too. Yep. That also does work. Close, though. Really, really close. Don't know if I should have played that a different way, like an Archangel Avacyn. But I think, yeah, possibly Archangel Avacyn was the right call. See what we would have drawn into. Inspector, Mechanic, Abbey, and a lot of things. The cast out coming up would be good too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was the correct play. Holding up the Archangel Avacyn, because what that ends up just happening is then I'm dead to a counterspell at that point, because I can't even, when it attacks in with a Gisela, then I have to flash an Archangel Avacyn. So I think it was in my odds that a Fumigate, it was kind of awkward with Gisela and Fumigates. But yep, anyway. It was fun. 2-2. I think the one thing that could make this deck better would be an additional land. Maybe cut an Aviary Mechanic. And it'll be interesting to test the new Angel that flickers cards, as it gives another really good renewable resource to the Wasteland Strangler or any other Enter Battlefield effect at that point. Anyway, this has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.